From 1976 to 2025, I am not Patrick Troughton, aka Father Brennan, but I am Queenie of London, or for the spooky month of October, the Hello Queenie, or the Weird Witch of the West. Hello ghosts and ghouls. I thought I'd kick off Spooktober here at the very church that was locked up by the devil during a horrific thunderstorm in the classic film The Omen. An iconic scene from an absolutely iconic horror film where the conductor, I think it's a lightning conductor, from the steeple of this very church, All Saints of Fulham, was used by the devil's hands to kill poor old Father Brennan in a rather grisly way. There has been a church here since the 13th century, but the tower that we're looking at is the only surviving part of the 15th century building. It's quite incredible. It's made of Kentish ragstone, which I believe the London Wall was made of, the Roman London Wall. In 1880, the medieval church that was here was demolished, and a new beautiful Gothic one, which was designed by architect Sir Arthur Blomfield, was built here. It was actually built higher up, away from the banks of the Thames, because the old one suffered some severe flooding. There's loads of monuments inside that church that were actually saved from the demolition, and they've been reinstated. All Saints actually began as the parish church of the bishops of London, who lived just around the corner in a palace. We are going to go and have a look at that palace today because it has over 1,300 years of history, and I would have thought a few ghost stories had accumulated in that time. Several of the bishops who lived in that palace are buried right here in the churchyard. So from the church, I'm going through the gates here, past this gorgeous little Gothic cottage, and I'm heading into Bishop's Park, which was actually part of the land of the Fulham Palace. But in the Victorian times, those beautiful Victorians, they said, make this a park for recreational purposes for the people of London, and they did. And this was my childhood park. I absolutely love it here. It is magical. It's got so many beautiful features, including spectacular river views. And right at the end of the park is another brilliant thing. Craven Cottage, the home of my darling Fulham Football Club. So that's why I'm a Fulham supporter, because this was my park growing up, and this is all very, very important to me here. If I just give you a little bit of a view. There's some sculptures here. Look how beautifully lush and orange that tree is. It's so autumnal and lovely. And it's a beautiful day for a autumnal stroll with a spooky twist. I'm hopefully going to tell you lots of ghost stories today. Look at this. Look how pretty. I think this is like clerical for the church, but they used to have refreshments here. Pretty sure they still do on the little veranda there. So let's keep on. I'm going to take you to a lovely view of Putney Bridge. So that there is Joseph Bazalgette's beautiful Putney Bridge. Bazalgette was a brilliant man, chief engineer at the London Metropolitan Board of Works. He did so much to improve our great city. He's a legend, one of my greatest Britons. Way before he built Putney Bridge, there was a wooden bridge there. It was called the Fulham Bridge, and it was the only bridge between London Bridge and Kingston, which is a really long way. Now in 1795, I'm going somewhere with this, I'm getting to a spooky story. In 1795, Mary Wollstonecraft, the famous feminist, female rights activist, she threw herself off the wooden bridge, as it was back then, because she was cheated on by her lover. But she was saved. She was fished out and she was saved. And she went on to meet another fella. With that fella, they had a daughter. And that daughter was none other than Mary Shelley, author of Frankenstein. So there you go. Horror connection. Beautiful part of the river cruise, this. Really, really beautiful. Also the starting point of the Oxford and Cambridge boat race since the 1800s or thereabouts. A really beautiful picture of my little Alfie in that spot. I think it was the first time he'd ever seen a river. I rescued Alfie and he was so excited. He couldn't get enough of it. He was loving the look of the water, and there were ducks, and just really, really special moment. I hadn't had him long when we came here for the first time. So I'm walking along here by the beautiful Thames. It smells gorgeous, and there's a beautiful October like nip in the air. Really, really pretty day for a stroll. I'm just going to walk along here. This is just a really lovely walk. It's also known as the Green Mile by Fulham fans, because we walk through the park to get to Craven cottage when we're at home. Green Mile just suggests sort of like impending doom, doesn't it? We're not always, we're not always failing. And we're not always suffering defeat. I'm going to walk you through this beautiful bit of Bishop's Park, and we're going to head to our first destination on this, hopefully what will be quite atmospheric, spooky October vlog. And then on Queenie of London, there's got to be a shop, hasn't there? I'm going to take you to a shop at the end, nice garden centre. Does that tickle your fancy? There are some gorgeous old trees along this part of the park. I love the way this one is going all the way down. The leaves are touching the water, and look at this one behind me. Look at the shape. Looks like a hand, especially that one there. It looks like witch's fingertips. This area here used to be where the bandstand was, beautiful Victorian bandstand, but they sadly demolished that. And I wish they had just restored it. It was so beautiful. They've just like flattened it now, and it's like a skating park. But look at the colours of those trees over there. It's gorgeous little cottage under the trees. That could be very spooky. Let me put a spooky filter over it. Yes, this is actually the cafe. I love the little arch there. When I was younger, over there in the corner where there's a big empty space, they used to have a huge aviary there. It was full of brightly coloured exotic little birds. It was so sweet. Here's where I am, this little park bit here, but there's further parks and swings. There used to be a moat here, going around the palace. One of the biggest moats in Britain it was. Absolutely massive, encompassed the whole estate. I love the bridge. I also love that they've cleared it out. Before they used to have a wildflower thing going on, but now they've done it so you can actually see like the trench, as it were, of the moat. There's a garden house there. This place also has some incredible gardens. One of the bishops, he was an ambassador and he worked overseas, and when he came back, he brought back loads of exotic plants and flowers, planted them in the palace gardens. So here we are at the entrance to Fulham Palace. We're going to walk through these remarkable gates, and the first thing we're confronted with is my dream house. This has been my dream house since I was about 4 years old. I absolutely love it. It's the Gothic lodge, and it was actually thought up by one of the bishop's wives. Isn't it a stunner? It has a turret and everything. I'm going to get some more shots for you and put it in because it's just a beauty. It's something out of fairy tale. Look, there's the crest of the family above the door there. Beautiful stonework. Look at it. It's just heaven. Look how perfect it is with the bridge over to it. It's just idyllic. Love the little view from here. Just so serene. That is just the most perfect little house to fill with books. I'm not very tall, so I think I would work quite well in there. We are on the approach to the palace, and there is our first look at it. We're actually going to go inside today because I thought it would be a nice thing to do to hear some of those spooky stories. There are a lot of them because this site actually dates back 6,000 years, so way before it was inhabited by bishops. Bishop of London is one of the highest ecclesiastical positions in the kingdom, and every holy man ordained with the role becomes known as a prince of the church, and every prince needs a palace. Here, every Bishop of London since AD 74 has lived. That's over 1,300 years of holy history. The area of Fulham was once considered as the countryside, and so this was the bishop's place of retreat from the city bustle and fog, his residence when he wasn't at Lambeth Palace near Westminster. Today we will walk in their footsteps through their home where they entertained royalty and ran the Diocese of London. We'll open doors into the past that reveal a centre of decision-making that worked to abolish the slave trade, that took in wounded war veterans, and that sheltered local people from falling German bombs, but which also has a darker side. Deep down under the foundations laid by the bishops is a story found in archaeological fragments that really begins 6,000 years ago. Can a history that long really remain silent? Does the past attempt to clamber to the surface to haunt the present? Are there ghosts that roam these rooms in an attempt to show us more of how they once lived? This is spooky season after all, so let's listen to the eerie tales Fulham Palace has to tell. This is one of London's most haunted locations, with ghost stories dating back to the 1780s and continuing to the present day. Here we are in the Great Hall, famous for being the room where Queen Elizabeth I was wined and dined, but it is also known for being the place of inquisitions held by the notorious and sadistic Bishop Bonner. During the reign of Henry VIII, Bishop Bonner tortured Catholics. In the reign of Queen Bloody Mary, he tortured Protestants. His easy switching of sides and political opportunism earned him the nickname the Devil's Dancing Bear among his contemporaries. He not only used the Great Hall here, he also held inquisitions in the medieval chapel. He would watch from his private rooms as prisoners were flogged in the courtyard below. He would sit and observe with delight as they were beaten in the gardens. Edmund Bonner even turned one of the palace's cellars into a dungeon to hold Protestants in chains. In this cellar was later found the entrance to a tunnel, and this tunnel led to Bonner's mother's home, which is now the Golden Lion pub on Fulham Palace Road. The tunnel was lined with the bones of Bonner's tortured victims. It is believed that some prisoners were even executed here on his command. One of the ghosts that haunts Fulham Palace is said to be that of Bishop Bonner, and tales of his apparition have been told for over 200 years, with the most recent encounter being in 2019. People see a glowing light and inhale a sudden smell of cooking fish. But perhaps the most eerie tale comes from that of a palace caretaker. One early morning, Mr. Newman saw a figure in old clerical robes stride across the Great Hall. In the middle, this figure stopped, bent down, and adjusted his wrinkled stockings. He continued his journey across the panelled hall and went straight through a wall. Old plans later revealed that in this exact spot on the wall was once a door, and this door has now been restored. In a 1789 work entitled The Ghost of Bishop Bonner, Hannah More described Bishop Porticus cutting through the thicket of a dark recess deep in the palace grounds, where he comes across a chair that once belonged to Bonner. As he approaches, he sees the figure of the long-dead bishop menacingly rising from this chair. From within the Great Hall here, I can actually hear some pretty incredible piano playing through that door. I'm going to follow the beautiful sound. Many of the bishops who lived in Fulham Palace met tumultuous ends, and where there are terrible ends, there is unrest. It isn't surprising, therefore, that there have been a great number of other ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena. In 1381, during the Peasants' Revolt, Bishop Sudbury was taken from here to Tower Hill, where he was beheaded for treason. His head was exhibited on a spike on London Bridge before being taken by his family back to his hometown in Suffolk. You can still go and see his preserved head if you fancy, in St Gregory's Church. Other bishops with perhaps unfinished business include Bishops Ridley, Latimer and Cranmer, who were all burnt at the stake in 1555, and Bishop Lade, who was beheaded in 1645. Ghosts in clerical garb have been seen in numerous places around the palace and grounds, often causing the staff who see them to faint with fear. A cleaner once saw a bishop so clearly she assumed it was a visiting clergyman, only to learn that there were no visits that day. This is Bishop Porteus's library. Bishop Porteus had such a fear of being buried alive that he requested in his will to be left in the palace chapel for several days to make quite sure that return to life was naturally impossible. In 1855, a lost manuscript of William Bradford's Of Plymouth Plantation, an important founding document of the United States, was mysteriously discovered in this library. No one knows how it ended up here from America. It was published the following year, and in 1897 it was given to the US ambassador to the United Kingdom and repatriated to New England. Aside from the spectre of Bishop Bonner, Fulham Palace has another regular haunter. Now, I don't know if it was dark and stormy, but it was late one night, way after closing time, when a security guard doing his rounds at the palace garden saw a young lady in a long flowing dress flitting between the trees. He approached her, shouting, "What are you doing in here?" In response, the figure of the woman turned to him and said, "I live here," and disappeared before his eyes. It is now widely held that this was the ghost of Bishop Lowe's daughter, who died at the palace suddenly while serving coffee to the Bishop of Bristol. Devastatingly, Frances Lowe was just 26 years old, and she was one of 5 of the Lowe children to die before their parents did. Tour guides at the palace report feeling sudden cold spots whenever they retell the story of Frances Lowe's death. The history of this site goes back much, much further than the arrival of the bishops of London over 1,300 years ago. Archaeological digs and research have proven a rich history that goes back at least 6,000 years. The earliest finds are from the late Mesolithic to the late Neolithic era, around 4000 BC. You need to really fast forward to AD 704 to get to the start of the land's connection to the bishops of London. This was when Bishop Waldhere acquired the site. It was vast, covering most of not only Fulham, but Hammersmith, Acton, Ealing and Finchley. At some point between 1066 and the late 14th century, the palace became the largest domestic moated site in England, enclosing 36 acres of land. The first manor house may have stood near a corner of the moat, close to the River Thames. During the mid-13th century, the decision was made to move the manor house. The old site was abandoned and buildings sprang up around what is now the East Courtyard. The history of the house that we see today begins here. Think about all the layers upon layers upon layers of history here, of all the people that have worked here, who have lived and died here. Fragments of stories twist and turn and connect with others in an attempt to join together and create a clearer whole. The gaps in the jigsaw, the missing pieces in the puzzle. Sometimes all we've got to fill those are unexplainable cold spots, mysterious knocks, and floating apparitions. I thought I'd go for a bit of a ramble in the gardens. Pretty extensive grounds here, but they would have been much bigger. This is rather lovely. It's amazing. I love all the beautiful old trees. There's a really old oak in here somewhere. I think it's 500 years old. 500 years old. Insane. Look, I like all these angles of the building as well. Can totally see like the different styles. That's the chapel, right, that we saw, I think. Oh, is that a squirrel? I'm gonna go this way. Look at the squirrel. Hello, you're a big one. Come back. There he is. He's gone way up. I'm gonna walk this way so we can look at the building. This is spooky. Look at that. I love all the chimneys as well. Look at all the chimneys. Quite incredible. I wonder if we can see the stained glass from this side. It's just a bit Georgian. It feels Georgian. Probably one of London's best cafes. Look at it. Look at the view. You could be in the middle of the countryside. I can't hear a peep of traffic. I love the aeroplanes going over. Beautiful. I was just walking through to come back round to the front, and I was looking at all the building and I saw that tree and then I saw him. I'm going to pop in some footage of what I found. They really they took me by surprise. Witches gather. Check this out. There's a little chair there for a rogue bishop. But look, a little fire, and there's all logs on the ground. Ooh, it's a little glade for the witches. It is Halloween and all. I'm using my imagination. This is cool. This is very spooky, actually. Very, very spooky. I've just been completely spooked by them wood carvings that came out of nowhere. Look at this. I'm just roaming. Good job I wore flats today, else that would have been, you know, a bit of a horror story in itself. Oh, there's a squirrel, there's a squirrel. They're making me jump. They really are. I'm on edge. Did you enjoy that little wander around Fulham Palace, Goose and Ghouls? I did. I thought that was beautiful. I loved the Porticus Library. Absolutely fantastic. There was a lovely lady in there volunteering, and she told me some stories, which I've hopefully popped in for you. We're actually now going to head through Bishop's Park, and we're going to go to just have a quick little stop off to hear a relevant spooky story at Fulham Football Club, and then we're going to go to the Palace Gardener. Oh yes, isn't this pretty? This is what I remember. Over there was a big swimming pool for children, and then this was a boating lake, which there's a little island in the middle, which is just so magical. And there was a sand pit, just a wonderful park. They seem to have some work going on at the moment, which is cool because it means they're keeping it nice. It's just a magical park. Look at all this like gothic detailing. Beautiful. They've washed all this stone actually. It's looking lovely. Should go down there and sit down for a bit. Ghosts and Ghouls, a walk through Bishop's Park or along Stevenage Road will bring you here to London's, probably the UK's, let's be honest, most beautiful football club. This is the home of Fulham Football Club, Craven Cottage, so called because once upon a time a chap called Lord Craven lived in a cottage on this very site. Lord Craven's cottage burnt down sadly in 1888, and we had to build a new cottage in its honour in 1905, which you can see over there. Now I've brought you here today in this spooky October vlog because how many stories, how many cartoons, how many films have begun with the phrase, "It was a dark and stormy night"? That phrase was coined by Lord Lytton, who was a writer, a novelist. He coined that phrase and he lived in there. So there you go. There's a nice little horror link for you. I've brought you Mary Shelley today. I've brought you a devil dancing bear. And I've brought you the originator of the term that has just started so many good horror stories. And in here, on that pitch, there have been a few more. Probably be another one on the 18th of October. I'm just having a roam again along the spooky side of the hammy end, which will bring us to something special. So this is the not so long opened Fulham Pier. It's all part of Fulham Football Club. Our chairman wanted to make more of the river, which I think is wonderful. It forms part of the riverside stand, and underneath you've got all like hospitality. You can probably see up there. It's all like wine bars and eateries and things. It's very, very lovely and on a most perfect location. Look at this. So if you wanted to, you could take the Thames path, which runs, you know, from Putney Bridge all the way through the park, and then you come out here to Fulham Pier. This gives you a sort of advantage of how how big it is. It is a stand after all. Pretty spectacular. Very, very nice, and I bet it looks great from over the other side of the river as well. It looked pretty cracking when I watched the boat race this year. They're having rowing lessons from the rowing club over the other side. You can hear him like giving the instructions. We have come to our final stop on this spooky October vlog. Now, those of you who are no stranger to Queenie of London will know that I always go into the Chelsea Gardener down Sydney Street, just off the King's Road. This little garden centre here is owned by the same people, and it's called the Palace Gardener, and we're going to have a little look in here today. I'm having a stroll around all the plants in the outside area first. It's been like renovated. It wasn't like this before, so it's really nice to see it like this. The ladies are really friendly. They just said hello, and they told me to go to the glass house, which is where there's a lovely little cafe. Very lovely. I believe it's owned by a little Italian family. Look at this. I can see a gnome. Let's gravitate to the gnome. I'm hoping they've got a little shop like the Chelsea Gardener has. Hello there, chapo. How beautiful is this? I love watching the American vloggers go to garden centres and get their mums, their huge planters of mums, and their hay bales. I wonder if we've got any hay bales. Have we got any? Oh, it's going to make a lovely gravelly sound now. I love that sound. It makes me feel like I'm in the countryside. There's little mushroom lights. And that is boughs here. This is lovely. I feel like I'm in the countryside. You can see the glass house there. Wow, this is lovely. These are brilliant for autumn hay. Look at these colours. Absolutely love the spooky green. I've ventured inside and I can see some beautiful things. Very lovely people inside the Palace Garden have told me I can do some filming of their lovely autumnal display here. Let me just take you out. Look at this, and then we've got like a Halloweeny bit over here, which I think is fantastic. Look at those up there. We've got some beautiful little baskets of pumpkins. Look at these. This is so dreamy. I love these witchy ones. And look, we've got like the straw hay. I love these. Look, ghosts and ghouls. How nice are they? They're like wicker. And there's some faux foliage, my absolute favourite thing. I've done a little spooky decorate with me. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. These are beautiful. Look at this. I love the green. And look at the little leaves. Little maple leaves and the candle holders. How gorgeous is this? The florals just blow my mind. Oh, this one's there. You've got some more up there. Oh, I can't wait to show you over the other side as well. There's some beautiful things here. Really beautiful. Let's look at the foliage. Look at this. I really like those. And look at the lovely copper-coloured eucalyptus. These stems are beautiful. Really beautiful. My mum would like that, I think. I might pick that up for her. What else have we got? There's some red down there. Lovely red. This is very pretty as well in a little glass vase. Noticed him at the back there. Isn't he wonderful? Looks so autumnal. Lovely rooster. Look how they've done the staircase. How beautiful is that, the garland? We're in like the greenhouse. There's all beautiful plants here, and I can sound that, like, I can hear the delicious sound of the running water. Look, wow, look at these lovely little planters. I would absolutely love to have a pumpkin spice latte at this little scene here. And we've even got like a more Halloweeny scene here. I love that arched black cat, but check out that bat. He's cool, and look how they've displayed these lovely wreaths. Isn't this just stunning? We've got some lovely trick or treat buckets here, some like sugar skulls, and look at this. Look at this. What are these little witches? Oh my goodness. Look at the little witch in her dress. She is gorgeous. I might have to take her home. I like her little nose. And there's some more at the back, and they've got red hair. Oh, look at that little mouse. Oh, look at the distressed pumpkin. That is such a good pumpkin. Wowzers. What have we here? Look at these. Lovely pics with the skull in. It's a headband, sorry. I must have a little look at the little witch. She is adorable with a broom. And they've got these dolls here. I love the way they've put the spooky tree, like that ghost. Where's the ghost? There's some little haunted doggos here, and some more little witches peeping. I don't want to touch their display and ruin it. I must say I do like the old lady witch. What we got on the floor? We've got some stuff for dressing up, these little haunted bows, and there's a felt garland in here. The little cobwebs. Here's the bat. Absolutely love the bat, and those gold orangey glittery webs. And I love the witch at the back with her ruby red skirt. She's Gisela Graham. Love these little honeycombs here. So sweet. I'm not empty-handed. I love the little cacti. They're so spooky. Torn myself away from the autumnal display, and look at the beautiful chinaware. Lovely blue and white, Spode reminiscent. That's a little cafe in there, the glass house. And Christmas is coming, we'll have to come back. Look how beautiful everything is displayed in here. It's just magical. I absolutely love little garden centres, especially when they're in London and you don't expect to find them. How beautiful is it here? I don't know what else to get. I don't think I'm done yet. I do like the little baskets that they put everything in as well. Really sweet. Just display some pumpkins in there. This is where we are if you are ever in the area, just on the corner of Bishop's Avenue here. I'm not empty-handed. More florals. I love the florals. So ghosts and ghouls, I'm just strolling my way back along in this gorgeous evening light. Golden hour it is now, beautiful golden hour with the golden leaves. I'm strolling back to good old Putney Bridge, where I'm going to get my little bus to the short journey back home. I really hope you've enjoyed this first little October vlog. I hope you found it a little bit spooky, a little bit atmospheric, and a little bit celebratory of everything we love about the glorious month of October. Until I see you all again next time, we will be doing a few of these little day trips that I hope you'll enjoy. Please take good cares of yourselves. Get yourselves some lovely cozy autumn treats and a pumpkin spice latte. Loads of love from London, Queenie. Mwah. sad to see the return of our beautiful Victorian gas lamps on the bridge. These were taken away to be restored and cleaned for a really long time, and the things that they had up here were actually the stuff of horror. Putney Bridge, consequentially, is the only bridge in Great Britain to have a church on its south and north end. So over there, just in the distance, you can see St Mary's, site of the Putney debates and the levellers and all that amazing good stuff, foundation of our liberty stuff. And then All Saints behind me. Fun fact,